promise to young adulthood, middle age, and finally death. In my own practice, the horned god is a figure who stands between two realms, this world and the lands of death. In many modern myths of the horned god, he has become a sacrificial deity, giving his own life so that the world may be renewed and made fertile once again. The horned god's association with fertility has led many to think of him as a god of sex and lust, and as a provider of much that is good and pleasurable in our lives. But the horned god is generally seen as being more than just a deity of passion and the wineskin. He's representative of a balanced life, a figure who embraces joy, but also accepts responsibilities and lives up to them. The first modern public self-identifying witch was an Englishman named Gerald Gardner, 1884 to 1964. Today, Gardner is hailed by many as the founder or architect of Wiccan witchcraft, but his writings on witchcraft in general have been tremendously influential over the last 80 years. Gardner is quite explicit that the god of the witches is a god with horns and/or antlers atop his head, which means the horned god has been one of modern witchcraft's essential deities since witchcraft became an ongoing public concern. In his 1959 book, The Meaning of Witchcraft, Gardner writes about the horned god of the witches as embodying most of the traits he's associated with today. In one particularly striking passage, he calls the horned one the opener of the doorway of the womb and the lord of the gates of death. But to Gardner, the horned god was more than just a figure residing in a faraway realm. Gardner also placed the horned god firmly in our world as a king of the wood and described him as the renewer of life. More than a deity of the wild spaces, the horned god was also the god of gardens through his power as the phallic god. The witch god written about by Gardner was nearly limitless, described as the all-devourer, all-begetter, and the beloved savior of the world. Gardner's horned god was not just a being with an erect phallus and horns or antlers atop his head. He's the god of the witches, and one who reigns over many of the currents that guide and shape our lives. Today, most witches see the horned god in ways similar to that of Gardner, though they may individually emphasize one characteristic more than others. The horned one is a god of nature, sex, fertility, sacrifice, death, and rebirth, and is also a figure to aspire to. Because these ideas are so important to understanding him, they are worth going over in a bit more detail. Nature and the natural world. Perhaps first and foremost, the horned god is a figure that links us to the natural world. He's the god of the wilderness, of dark forests, majestic mountains, and sun-swept prairies. He's the lord of the wood and the magic that keeps us firmly rooted in nature, even if we are living in an apartment in a city of 1 million people. Horns and antlers also link the horned god to wild animals. The horned god can be seen in the face of a stag or bull. Because many of the antlers and horns atop his head come from game animals, the horned god is also a deity of responsible and ethical hunting practices. The horned god is the personification of nature, which means he can be both gentle and fierce. He is as pleasant as a warm spring day and as powerful as an autumn hurricane. Nature is sometimes scary. We should expect the same from a god who is a part of it. As a deity who is a part of nature, the horned god is also the protector of the earth's wild spaces. He's the deity to call on when the government turns its back on